I'm here with Carm O'Sullivan, and she is a psychic medium. How do you describe yourself?
I'm a bioenergetic therapist who also is gifted in the mediumship, which means going up and talking to your loved ones who have passed. And psychic means past, present, future. We talk past, present, future, but nothing is set in stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you realize that you kind of had this gift? I mean...
Oh, wow. I was told I was a healer all my life by weird people. They just come up, oh, you're the healer. I go, no, it's my friend over here, not me. No. I just happened to take a Reiki class, and I opened up to Reiki. Then I found Healing Touch, which is my kind of my wheelhouse. And I walked hospital floors for 5 years. And through that time period, I started hearing, feeling ghosts. And I had, as a girl, I always felt it. But I shut it off. And so one day I accepted it fully, all my gifts.
Yeah.
And with that, the mediumship has been I believe we can heal in many ways through hands-on healing, energetic healing, and through words.
Yeah.
And the change in my clients' disposition after they leave is relief, happiness. I'm a Christian healer first off and foremost. I always bring Jesus in, but I honor all faiths, non-faiths. I really just believe this is my gift, and I have to walk into what he gave me.
Yeah.
So,
so when you say a healer, like what are we talking about? Like
I'm just really a channel for the higher good. I'm really not doing the healing work. We heal ourselves. What I'm doing is when I do the bioenergetic therapy, I lay hands and work in the biofield, which is the outer field, and there's an energetic field that is, we have an energy center just like we have an endocrine system, a blood system. It's the same thing, and the energy runs all our systems. So it's really important to keep your balance in the energy system. So we do that through just hands-on healing, assessment, and asking higher good to bring in the highest healing for that person of the day.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit more. We had talked a little bit before we started filming about clearing a house for...
Oh, yeah. So that's one of my specialties. I love going into homes and finding out the energy of the house. I get called a lot because people have children who have gifts too. So they're bringing in energy because they're open. And so what I do is I educate the family on the gifts, and especially when children in the maturation stage, like they, for instance, they're about 13, 14, and that's when they start feeling things, and they're anxious maybe, or they feel people's energy. And so with that, sometimes they bring in guests who are not wanted. So I go in and feel into the home. I teach the person how to bless the house and own their house, set the intention for how they want their house to feel. And I do believe what happens is energy gets stuck. So if you have a fight or there's distress in the home, you need to clear it. So I teach them all of that. And the houses feel lighter when I leave. When I've had this... By the way, this little guy's my newest. I'm teaching him how to be a healing dog.
Yeah.
Right now, he's afraid of everybody except for me.
Yeah.
But so, like, for instance, I had a house one time. I was called in. Their 13-year-old daughter was seeing ghosts, and in her bedroom, couldn't sleep. The ghosts start having parties, and she calls me. She goes, "Could you come and do this?" And I said, "Sure." I can feel into it to see if it's in my pay grade. I won't do something that's too. I call it more evil.
Yeah.
There was only a couple I referred. I have another person I refer to. But this one was funny because I was clearing the house. I had told them, this is one man who owned the house before. I feel it. He still thinks he lives here. He comes back and forth. He was a party animal. He was, if you wanted to picture him, he belonged to the Rat Pack. Tennis racket in hand, martini. And he loved his house. And so the daughter being open, he was attracted to her because he was, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So long story short, I was clearing it. I stopped mid-grade and said, I have to know who owned this house. I don't even know why, but I need to know. They got out their Tylo. They didn't remember. And they showed me the name. and I knew the gentleman.
Really?
Yeah. And it was
Wow.
exactly what I said.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, he was a friend of my husband's.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I can't believe it. So I had a discussion with him.
So you can talk?
Oh, yeah.
You can talk.
That's what I
Okay.
do with the mediumship. I talk
Yeah.
to them. I ask them to come down and tell me what they want and
Okay.
why they're here. Because they're here to give a message. They're here
Okay.
to acknowledge that they're still alive in a different sense. Death is not death.
Yeah.
Life goes on. Energy does not dissipate. It just goes somewhere else. So with that, I had a little discussion with him, and he left. And the funniest thing is I called my husband on the way home and told him, you wouldn't believe what happened. And I told him who the person was. And he goes, whatever you do, please don't bring him home. So, once you identify what's going on, it's easy to clear usually. And then I make sure that people own their home, and then they know how to do it from that point on. So rarely do I get called back.
Oh, okay.
So, unless there's something really weird going on.
Yeah. So do people come to you and want to talk to family members that
Oh.
have passed? And
It's really interesting because I get called to do large group readings where I'll go into a home and they have all their family.
Okay.
And I go in blind, so I don't know who these people are.
Yeah.
Just did one this weekend, and it was most profound. I had a reading with this group, and when I was getting in the car, I felt parents, and I saw a plane crash, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if it belongs to these people. And the interesting thing was, I did bring it up because I felt like I wasn't sure if it belonged to this group. And I mentioned it. I said, listen, I was getting in the car. This is what I saw. I don't think it belongs to this group. Does anybody understand this? This one girl raises her hand. She goes, I was just talking to one of my good friends who lost his parents in a plane crash
oh wow.
years ago.
Yeah.
And so I brought in more information for her to share with her friend. And I believe they came through because the door was open and they want to acknowledge their children who are still here.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever go into anything and have a hard time? I mean, does things just not come to you sometimes, or do you usually kind of have a feel
You can
for?
get stuck sometimes because sometimes people are closed. I've had readings where I've had a person who is very skeptical. So it's really hard to read because I'm actually attaching to your energy and then asking the loved ones to come forth. And when they're skeptical, they're just not open.
Yeah.
So, but I have had times, not very often, and usually what I do is I rebook them and then do them at a later date, and we talk about it.
Let them relax a little
Yeah,
bit.
and then it comes through. It's so interesting when family members come forth, and I even had a reading out of the blue one time. I was at a master medium class, and they would just pick people out, and my parents came forward, and my heart started beating like, I thought, I always talk to them, I don't need them here, but then and they gave such profound information, and I understood what the person feels like when they're sitting in the other chair. And it is always important because my work is about the reverence of serving them.
Yeah.
So when you ask me for a mediumship reading, I'm not working for you, I'm working for them. And through that, you just happen to be paying, by the way.
Yeah.
I just ask them to bring what they need to say. And I validate it. I ask them for evidence that I would not know. So it's not like, oh, grandma's here and she's lovely. What it is grandma's here. She uses her hands for cooking. She does not use spoons. She speaks Spanish. And
are you just feeling those thoughts, or are they actually saying that?
Well, that's
them
interesting.
saying it, or are you
Yeah.
feeling
Well,
those
everybody perceives different. Every medium works differently. I'm claircognizant, so I just know things.
Okay.
And so that means just knowing, clear knowing.
Gotcha.
I also do have clairvoyancy, so sometimes I see a whole movie in my head and just describe what I'm seeing. Sometimes I hear them. I had a gentleman whisper to me once saying he wasn't dead when the woman said, well, he's not gone. And he goes, yes, I am. And so it's just, I have all the clairs. So I work in all, and I teach because I believe we're all gifted in intuition. I believe we all can connect to our loved ones if we know how to and if we trust. And it's all about trust, and you have to be okay to fail. And usually when I do a reading, I'll write things that they don't understand, and it comes back around full circle. Or later they call me and go, do you remember my reading? I'm like, oh, not really.
Yeah.
But they tell me, they'll be really cute because they'll say, well, you told me this, and we figured it out. And it couldn't believe it. Like I had one guy kept saying, there's an Ernest Borgnine here. And this woman goes, I described him, and he looks like, even his teeth look like Ernest Borgnine. She couldn't remember. Well, she went home and talked to her mom. It was her mom's uncle who was named Ernie.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
With the teeth was the same, too.
Yeah. Huh.
So, isn't that crazy?
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool.
Well, I think there are more people opening up now. So there are a lot of mediums. I've been told, I have a mentor who is, he is a spirit artist. And Joe Shield, he works, he's been on Netflix on shows like Surviving Death, or I can't remember exactly. But he said they've done a study on mediums, and there's this one group who certifies them. Very hard. It's all blind. You just go in there blind and do this to prove who you are. And he goes, 85% of the mediums today are not working as, they're not mediums.
Oh, yeah.
They're not in the high. And also I always tell people, you really need to get a reference on a medium, because you just don't want to see anybody, because like I said, you don't know if they're working in the light, I call it. And also they may not be your medium. They may be working in fear-based stuff. I don't do that. I have nothing fearful to say to you, and neither do they.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And they have no hate up there. It's all love. They see the things they did to you if they had problems with you, and they always know your struggle. If you have one, which most people do. Yeah. So they acknowledge it, and they cheer you on. They're your best cheerleaders, and it's all about love in the end.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting.
Thank you.
Well, it was so nice to be able to talk to you today. Thank you so much.
Oh, Val, thank you.
I've just been so interested to hear about this ever since we've met, so I'm glad that I was able to come over and talk to you.
Oh, I'm so glad you did too. I love talking about it. It's important.
So what's the name of your podcast so people can listen to that?
I'm a heart-to-heart medium, first off. So that's what I call myself. My podcast is Getting to the Heart of the Matter.
Okay.
And Heart-to-Heart Conversations.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube under Carm O'Sullivan.
Okay.
And you can go to my website, carmosullivan.com.
I'll link it underneath the video so that people can see it.
My belief is all about love, and I find people who've had a trial or an experience that changed their lives and totally, and they're ordinary people with extraordinary stories who are living in the heart center.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.